Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Um, so, as you know, I had said that I was going to do a video about the refutation of Walter Williams, sarasuten seti, about that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is serapis, that Isa in the Quran is serapis, and also refutation that in actuality the Greeks made up serapis, and that the serapis, asar, happy, which is a proper way to say it, is actually a native Egyptian belief. So what I'm going to do here, so what I'm going to do here is ask a couple questions first. The question I have is this. Now, Walter Williams, sarasuten seti, and the likes who are against Islam, you know, they try to come up as if they come up with these ideas and these concepts. Like, for example, serapis being made up by the Greeks. The question is, did Walter Williams himself come up with that understanding? Or was Walter Williams copying somebody else? Was he imitating somebody else? Because when he passes his works off, he passes it off as if, or these ideas as if they are his ideas in themselves. So that means we shouldn't find that idea nowhere else. Sarasuten seti, who has taken Walter Williams, following, I guess you can call it, he's taken himself as his follower, who relies upon a lot of his argumentation. He has stated in many of his videos that Muhammad was serapis, that Isa of the Quran is serapis, So what we're going to do is we're going to find out what exactly made him say, what made them come up with this idea that Isa, they say Jesus in the terminology, is serapis. Did they just come up there on their own? Because that's how they represent it, is what I'm saying. They come out and they represent, that Isa or Jesus is serapis. And they make it seem like as if it's their idea. And also that the Greeks invented serapis. They make that seem like that is their idea. And then they say they're going against white supremacy, or they're going against, white culture, or they're going against this, or they're going against that. And the fatal mistake, the greatest mistake they made was saying that, and this is really primary seti on this one, was that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is actually serapis. That's a bold-faced lie. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to deconstruct step by step those claims. And I will be doing also future videos deconstructing everything, inshallah, everything that they have falsely attributed, that they have blatantly lied about. That's what I'm saying, that lied, not mistaken. Because you got to remember, these people claim to be researchers of the highest caliber. They're not some simpleton. That's what the claim is. So I know that they could not have overlooked certain information. So the claim that the Greeks made up serapis, and I'm going to get to this in a second. You know how, I get to it, but I'm just putting, this out here for a second. So there's a video, and I think I was going to show a couple videos, but I'm not going to do no videos of Walter Williams talking, sarasuten seti talking. So I'll just narrate it to you. And then, maybe later on in another segment, I'll show you it, right? Because I want to get to my proofs and my evidences and my refutations. Okay. And I'm going to say this to them. And I said it before, even before I started doing this, that it would be a grave mistake to come against Islam in all of its variations without specifying. And that's what they made a grave mistake. So what we're going to do, and you know, that's good. I'm glad. It's a blessing, actually, because you know what? There's many different views in Islam about many different subjects that people don't even know. Some Muslims don't even know. So as we go through this stuff, them guys throwing all this stuff that they're blindly imitating, blindly following. We'll discover some things, inshallah, and I'll find out some things too, inshallah. You know, so here's the main points, and I'm gonna get to it. So 1, Walter Williams claims the Greeks made up serapis. So what does that do? That gives the Greeks the credit. Yet he's a black nationalist or Pan-African, pro-Egyptian, supposedly. Sarasuten said he came behind him, said the same thing, did videos on it, bashed Islam. I understand some of the bashing though. I understand some of the bashing. There are some actions out there that Muslims have done, and I sometimes think that they're Masons actually. And we're going to get to that. We're going to be responding to young Pharaoh's comment about Masons creating Islam. I already destroyed the Catholic Church argument. You can see that other video. I destroyed the Catholic Church argument. Okay. Alhamdulillah, all praise be to Allah, none to me. You know, but Allah, alhamdulillah, utilized, gave me the intelligence to be able to put that together and put that out. Alhamdulillah. So that was destroyed. Now this one with Walter Williams about serapis, and why I'm dealing with serapis is this. I wouldn't even dealt with it. It wouldn't even have been an issue to me. But for the simple fact that they said the Greeks created serapis, and really that wasn't even a simple fact. The simple fact that they said Muhammad was serapis. Had they not said Muhammad was serapis, or that Isa in the Quran was serapis, I'd have left it alone. Because many Muslims know that things have been tampered in certain books. So whichever way that tampering went, I mean, there's various different ways you could say it. But when they attacked Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they attacked, Isa alayhi salam, the way that they did towards the Quran, and put it out there, and see what they do is they often, they'll find somebody that, they know they can't really get them in a debate, or, where they can just ignore a response and say, oh, that guy's a little guy. I don't care about him. That's the tactic. Excuse me. So the main point is this. 1, they say that the Greeks invented serapis. I'm also tell you something about that too. Reason why they did that. Because what that does is, and you're going to see it, that sets up a stage for something. They know the Greeks didn't invent serapis. They might say that the Greeks maybe, put serapis on the image of a Greek statue. They could say that. Just like I easily just said that. And according to many of them, I'm a peon. So if a peon can do that, then a bigwig can definitely do that more eloquently. But they didn't decide to do that. They went with serapis was created by the Greeks. Do you know who came up with that terminology? That's a terminology. That's an idea. That's an ideology. That's actually misappropriating a certain type of history. So on Egyptian land, the Greeks came and invented serapis. And then all of a sudden, this Egyptian priest named Manetho, he just followed suit. Yes, this is the great, God Greek, Greek. This is the great serapis. Or his proper name is called Asar Happy, because the Greeks couldn't say it all the way. See, Asa, they say Asa, so they say Sar. And then happy, instead of saying happy, they say appy. And then apis. So they say serapis. That's how they pronounced it. But that doesn't mean the Greeks stole it. That was just their mispronunciation. Like you see anybody who speaks a different language, they sometimes mispronounce your name. Now, that's not your name, but they mispronouncing your name. You see? And so that's what the Greeks were doing. They didn't steal serapis. Serapis was from Egypt. And I'm going to prove it. So that was 1. They gave credit to the Greeks, which set the stage up for them to say Serapis is a person by the name of Jesus, which is not really his name, right? But the question for that one too, point two, is where did they get that idea from? How did they connect a Serapis all the way into a Israelite prophet like Yeshua or Yahushua or Isa, or if you want to say it in this form, Jesus? How did they connect that? Was that an original idea in their mind? Here's the key point, because we're dealing with that. Was that an original idea that came from their mind? Or was they mimicking somebody? And who were they mimicking in both of these cases? In both of these cases, who were they mimicking? But they claim to go against them. So that's what we're going to get to. And finally, we'll see if any connection of Isa in the Quran is connected to a concept of Serapis, because we're going to find out what the concept of a Serapis is. What does an Asar and what does a Happy combined? What is that story? And then we'll look at Isa in the Quran to see if that's an Asar. And last but not least, before I turn this light off and get to this, is, so Walter Williams said that, but listen, sarasuten seti even did something greater. That was crazy. He had a video called The Jesus Myth. And when he had this video, that I'm saying it, he purposely went over material. He ignored stuff. Because he puts a picture of Osiris, a statue, and then he puts it next to the Greek statue that they start calling Serapis. He goes through the story of Asar, Heru, and Aset. Okay, Isis, Osiris, and Horus. He goes through that whole layout. You mean to tell me you didn't know that Asar, the same Asar you're talking about, is not connected to Happy, which is translated as Serapis? But then you turn around and you go get the Greek statue that the Greek says Serapis eventually. But you don't know or teach who the real Serapis is first. It's a shame. And for little trinkets to go against Islam, right? Your hatred supersedes your intellect. Your hatred supersedes the truth. So I'm going to get to this. Let's expose this. It shouldn't be that. It's not that hard at all. Assalamu alaikum. Now I'm going to turn this light off. All right, Chris, right here. Boom. So we're going to go right here. Boom. Okay. So usually this is Serapis, right? That's what you usually see. That's what you told. That's Serapis, which actually that's Zeus. That's actually Zeus or one of the Roman people. But what I want to point out to you is this. What I want to point out to you is a concept that's being spread. The concept that's being spread is that the Greeks invented Serapis. So the question is, where did Walter Williams, who was the first to say this, supposedly, where did he get that concept from? Is that something that he came up with, or was that something that was already in circulation by the Europeans? Let's see. So we're going to go to simple little Wikipedia first, and then it'll get a little deeper. So we see right here, the Coda Serapis was introduced. Now watch how they put this, and then watch how it's contradicted. But you can see, person was just mimicking. The culture Serapis was introduced during the 3rd century BC on the orders of Ptolemy of one of Egypt. Okay. So if you read that, you would say, well, there it is, brother. They the ones that came up with it. Keep reading. As a means to unify the Greeks and Egyptians in the realms. The god was depicted in Greek appearance with Egyptian trappings. Okay, we know that. A serapion in Greek, okay. Appearance with Egyptian trappings and combined iconography for a great many cults, signifying the abundance and resurrection. A serapeum, Greek serapeum, was any temple or religious precinct to Serapis. The cult of Serapis was spread as a matter of deliberate policy by the Ptolemaic kings, who had also built immense serapeum to Alexandria. Okay. Now, watch what he says. However, there is an evidence which implies that the cult of Serapis existed before the Ptolemies came to power in Alexandria. A temple of Serapis in Egypt is mentioned in 323 BC by Plutarch, Life of Alexander, and Aaron Abson. The common assertion that Ptolemy created the deity is derived from sources which describe him erecting a statue of Serapis in Alexandria. This statue enriched the texture of Serapis' conception by portraying him in both Egyptian and Greek. Okay, so now basically what they're saying is, really, he didn't really create Serapis. What happened was there was a rumor, and the rumor was based upon him just resurrecting a statue, that Greek statue. Okay, so check this out. They contradict themselves right here, but though Ptolemy first may have created the cult, meaning the followers of Serapis, and endorsed him as the patron of Ptolemy dynasty in Alexandria, that's like if I come to your, that's like as if I come to your country, right? And you're worshiping, God, how you worship God. And then I come, and then when I come, I also worship your God. And then what I do is I put my image on your God. You see, that's the difference. It's your God. It's already existed. It's there before already. But I became a worshiper of him or her, because some people do the feminine and masculine thing. And then I basically put my name on it. Say, hey, this is me. See? So it says right here, it says, Serapis was a syncretic deity derived of the worship of Osiris and Apis. Okay. So listen, I'm going to show you something quick. That was just basic. That was just basic. So we really going to get into it. One more. This one right here. Right here. Okay. So another one. Elsewhere. Now, this is before the Greeks got there. Anybody that knows Egyptian history, they know that the Greeks came way after the 25th dynasty. Okay. So this is in the 18th dynasty. Elsewhere, the 18th dynasty, Serapis is described as the great god Kent Amentet, the Lord of life forever. Apis, or happy, and Osiris, or Asar, were joined together by the priests of Memphis, or in Egyptian Kemetic terms, it's Munefer. Okay? Hold on, let that clear. The priests of Memphis, where the attributes of the Apis had been made to assume a funeral character and hence recognized as a god of the underworld, on a monument of the 19th dynasty. So he existed. Serapis existed in the 19th dynasty, way before the Ptolemies got there. Apis is said to be the renewed life of Ptah, and in an inscription on the 25th dynasty, he is also called the second Ptah. And in the same text, we have, oh, this is going to do this crazy stuff again. I'm going to have to hold this. I hate when I do that. Excuse me, y'all. Okay. So the inscription is on the 25th dynasty, and he is called the second Ptah. In the same text, we have mention of the temple of Asar Happy. So yes, there is a temple over there called Serapis. And here it is clear that his identity had been merged with that of Asar. The identification with Happy with Asar was easy enough because one of the most common names of Asar was Bull of the West. Happy was in fact believed to be animated by the soul of Osiris and to be Osiris incarnate. The appearance of new Apis was regarded as a new manifestation of Asar upon the earth. Now here's where the Greeks come in at. However, the Greeks added to this Egyptian core a number of Hellenistic deities or concepts. So here is the part where they failed to say. This is when they came in, they had a concept of Zeus, Helios. Helios is a sun, so how's that different when you got Ra, right? Dionys, that's the feminine attributes, right? Hades, and form Aeschylus to form Serapis. Okay, so basically what happened was when they came, as you see right there, they came into Egypt. It was already being practiced. And so like anybody who's foreign, when they come into the country, they have to understand it in their own language. So you get a translation of it and you express it through your own form of language, right? So that means through your language. For example, in Islam, when we say Islam, it has more than one meaning than submission. It also means peace. It also means this. It also means that. It also means this. It also means that, right? It has multiple meanings. But in English, when we translate it, we choose one word, which means peace, or another person will translate it and choose the word submission. But that is because we are using the English language. And so that would be the same thing. What they did, they were Greek speaking people and they already had some type of names, for concept like Zeus, this, that. So when they heard of this deity and they went there and started worshiping, they explained it utilizing even their own customs from where they're from. And so what they did was, and I'm about to show you, what they did was they brought a statue there because the Greeks want to actually, the recognition eventually, and supposedly in the story, I'm going to show you in a second, that Manetho, which was an Egyptian priest, was one of the ones that agreed to this. Now, I'm going to point this out. He's right. Osiris was the bull of the West. Happy was the bull of the West, which meant the place of death. And so Asar, whenever you resurrected spiritually, it was called a resurrection, right? So this is why when the Greeks came over there, and I'm going to tell you a conspiracy that happened. This is why when the Greeks went over there to Kemet and they saw the death and destruction that, the West, the Greeks and the Romans were doing, they thought that, that's Apis in the manifest. So that's why there was hardly no resistance to, putting that statue up. I have never seen nobody say that there was any resistance, whether it was in Kemetic teachings or whether it was in other teachings, to say that they actually resisted that statue from being put up, because to them the Greeks represented the West. You see, so that's another lie that they try to tell. Oh, the Greeks came in there. Yeah, there was some fighting before that, perhaps, but this right here, I'm gonna show you something. So my question is this. I got this right now. And we're going to go over here. See, that's how Asar happy is. See, this is actually Serapis. That's Serapis. That's the bull of sacrifice, right? And that's the human, right? So you become an Asar resurrected. Now we know Asar means in principle resurrection, right? And we know the bull, which was a black bull, was the bull of sacrifice. Now, if I went into, which I'm not going to do it because that'd take too long, but if I went into the Abjad system in Arabic, I could actually tell you what this meant in the Abjad system. I can give you a simple breakdown. The simple breakdown is simple. You see, the bull symbolizes sacrifice. That's what we call struggle. You see what I'm saying? The struggle in life, in the world. Now, when this bull sacrifices itself, that's you striving with your might and main under sincerity and discipline, right? That's the struggles and sacrifice of life. When you are finally given your sacrifice, we know that Asar, who sits up on the throne, is a person that's elevated in a resurrection into authority in the position of a power. right? So basically the meaning and teaching behind this would be that a person who strives and struggles, who sacrifice himself to do what they're supposed to do, they are the ones who obtain success. They are the ones who obtain authority. That's all this ever meant. But when they anthropomorphize these teachings and they put physical things to these teachings, slowly people became literalists and they began to worship these things. See, that's all there was. But anyway, let's continue. So the question now we got to ask Walter Williams, how come he never told us that actually a sar or serapis is actually this serapis. This serapis is on the Kemetic site. Okay. This serapis born to the throne. Okay. This serapis. Okay. The serapis who is native to Kemet. How come? And these are historians. These are Kemetic historians. These are researchers. These are brothers who, you know, are very, look, a sar happy. You see, I was looking stuff up. Okay. That's a sar happy. Okay. That's serapis right there. Serapis right there. That Greek statue is just Zeus. I'm gonna give you, how it even got there and who put it there and why. Okay. So we can't be confused or we can be lied to anymore about this. So I'm going to move on from there. I'm going to X that out. I got that one. You see, I got subjects lined up for them. You don't disrespect this dean and think that just because you supposed to be somebody, you don't get replied to. Now, we're going right here. Some I already basically went over, but I want to give you a little more. Just to confirm. Okay. Okay. God, known as a sar happy, has been venerated in Egypt. He was worshipped in the form of a living bull, which was thought to be the incarnation on earth of the great, deity Osiris, Asar, and hence rose from the double name in Greek serapis. So in actuality, as we're seeing even right here, and this is close to the Ptolemaic era. That means not quite there yet. Not quite in the Ptolemy area. This is before the Ptolemy area. So a serapis who is a sar happy actually existed before that. It was a concept before that. Have you ever heard? Now let me ask you a question. Have you ever heard, and not to talk bad on nobody's name, but I'm just putting it past you. I don't claim to know everything, but have you ever heard Dr. Ben say that? Have you ever heard Chancellor Williams say that? Have you ever heard the brother that said he's going to say that? Have you ever heard Seti say that? The so-called priests, the so-called priest of Kemet, the so-called priest of Amun-Ra, right? Who's been to the walls and who's read in the books. Have you ever heard him say it? No, you didn't, because his agenda could not be pushed. Because, see, I'm going to tell you why. You see, they are linking this story of a sacrifice and a resurrection, which is a spiritual story, actually. It's not literal. If you go to the ancient Kemetic teachings, it'll tell you it's a spiritual teaching. It does not involve physical death and resurrection. But because they wanted to go against Christianity, and because they eventually wanted to go to Islam, they thought by putting this story up on a Jesus, and then saying that was copied from here, that this is a Jesus. And then because the Greeks put the white person up there, who was actually Zeus. Okay. Or one of them others, right? That they thought that, hey, we could get rid of, the ultimate aim clearly was Islam. You see, that ultimate aim is clearly Islam. And it's headed and speared by Freemasons, because a true Freemasons admission, they will use religion that's there for now, but the true aim is to get rid of all religion. That's their aim. That's facts. So I could do another video on that one if somebody wants to contest that, or I could just put it up there, inshallah. But in any case, so we see right here, the God known as Sar-Happy, which is Serapis, has been greatly venerated in Egypt. He was worshipped in the form of living bull, which was thought to be incarnation on earth of the great God Serapis, and hence the double name in Greek Serapis. See, that was just merely a translation of a Kemetic name. It was not intended to be. He wasn't trying to say, "Oh, Serapis is, this white, like that." You know what I'm saying? They was just translating the name into their language, and then they say, "Hey, well, I'm gonna show you what resurrected is this Greek looking statue, because we whites, we Greeks, and we over here, so this is our image, and so this is the new Serapis. This is the Serapis that done got resurrected for you, because we're from the West, right?" So they understood the bull when they was told they were called the bull to the West. They was like, yeah, so we're the ones. So here's my white image. You bow down to this image now. See? So basically, it existed before. Okay? Facts. Plutarch, however, who is, now this name, remember this, because we're going to get into this. Plutarch, however, who must be remembered, wrote towards the end of the 1st century of our era, whose evidence therefore is some 350 years after quite another account. Look. The original Serapis, according to him. Now remember, this is the biographer. Now Plutarch, and I'm going to get into that in a second, he is the biographer of Sotar I, Ptolemy I, who went into Egypt and who put the Greek statue up there, and who said, hey, I know that Serapis exists already, but this is the image that I want Serapis in now. Right? So he is the biographer of Ptolemy I, of why he put that statue there. Right? And you're going to see what he bears witness to. If, the Greeks just came up with Serapis, or if the Egyptians already was going by the principles or concepts of Serapis. Like concept. So he's talking about the statue, how they got it from somewhere else. And we're going to go to that primary source. I'm not even going to use this source. I'm going to go to the primary source so you can read it for yourself. But the original Sar-Happy was due to the efforts of the priests of Happy. See that comment? The origin of a Sar-Happy or Serapis was due to the efforts of the priests of Happy, or Apis at Munefer. So it already was a concept. They're doing nothing but lying, because they have aims against this deen. You see, they have aims against Tawheed. Trying to, and the cold thing about it is it's dishonorable, because they say they black supremacists, they black nationalists, and they sitting there using a white concept, because it was whites who were passing around that concept that Serapis was invented by the Greeks. So that's a white supremacist concept. That's not a black nationalist concept. That's not something you would want to push out there. You see? So Walter Williams is lying. Sarasuten Seti is lying. Young Pharaoh is blindly following, lying. Right? I can't say that they're making a mistake no more, because, they claim to be master researchers. And when I saw Seti's video about it, listen, if my phone dies, I'm going to charge phone and get back on it. Okay. I'm going to have part 2, because, man, but, they claim to be master researchers. So let me go over here real quick. Let me exit out. So I got that. So there you go. You want to read it? This is called Paganism and Christianity in Egypt. Okay. Now we're going to deal with the little printed issue they keep bringing up about the printed press too. Talking about books ain't being printed till whatever, I forget the exact date, 1924 or something like that. Don't quote me on that one. We're going to get into that. Books being printed exists for 600 years before that date. But we're not going to get into that right now. Okay? When I said that I was going to refute you point by point, I meant point by point. SubhanAllah. You don't, SubhanAllah. Hold on. Take this coat off, okay. All right. So there it is right there. So we're going to X that out. Okay. What's the next one? Okay. Before that. Okay. Now we're going to get into this. So I proved already that, serapis is not a Greek concept. It was not invented by the Greeks. Okay. It's native to Kemet. It's native to Egypt. It's a spiritual story of strugglers and sacrifice and overcoming your struggle and sacrifice. And that if you overcome your struggle and sacrifice, you'll be given authority. Whether that authority is within yourself to overcome your desires. That's all that story is talking about. Miss us with that other stuff you're talking about. Now, the story about Jesus's serapis. Where did they get that from? Was that something they invented too? Or was that another white supremacist understanding that they copied? I'm going to tell you. They copied it. Here you go. You can look this up for yourself. So this is why they say Jesus is serapis. See this? See this? Nothing original. Look at this. Serapis was also called Christus, which corresponds to Jesus, title Christ. Given the wide acceptance of the serapis cult in the Greek and Roman world, it should not be surprising that cultists would call their God the chosen one. But we should note that the term Christ or the Hebrew form Messiah predates the original serapis by 100 years. Well, I don't know if it predates the Egyptian serapis, but I understand the point. He's right on this. Now, this is where that came from. The Emperor Hadrian wrote that the worshippers of Serapis called themselves Christians. That's exactly where they get the idea from. This is where Walter Williams got his idea from, that Serapis is Jesus. They got it from Emperor Hadrian's writings. He didn't come up with his own. He didn't do his own little 2 to 2 together or nothing like that. He saw these writings, and guess what? These writings have been debunked. These writings have been debunked. The Emperor Hadrian wrote that the worshippers of Serapis called themselves Christians. The letter identifying Christians with Serapis worshippers was supposedly written, watch this, AD 134, but the document from which the letter comes, it comes from the Historia Augusta, so you can go look that up, has been shown to be a forgery dating to AD 395. Hadrian did not write the letter, and the whole argument is a sham. No, the account of Jesus was not borrowed from the story of Serapis, nor did the gospel writers borrow from the myth. That's what I was going to say. And there's so many different, I'm not going to contest this part because us as Muslims, we know that, the dying and resurrection concept and all that in the physical form, that was borrowed from, but my point is this right here, the Serapis worshippers are called Christians. That's borrowed. They borrowed that. See what I'm saying? They copied that word for word. All right. Okay. And that's all I want to show you from this, because this was somebody's was mad at it. So I'm going to X that out and I'm going to continue. Let me get another one. Where's that one that I had up here? Tell me I exit out just now. Okay, sorry, happy. I got that. Plutarch. Okay. Okay, here it is. Okay. Was this it? Okay, this is it. So, continue. We'll follow the Serapis Christians. Now, understand, some people say Christians existed before the word Christian actually was actually was made up in itself, but we're not going to refer to that. So here's what it says. One critic has said that the worshippers of God's sun god Serapis was also called Christians. It could refer to, Okay, inform me that the ultimate source for this argument is a work by Robert Taylor called the Digesis, which quotes an alleged letter of Emperor Hadrian to his brother-in-law Services, which states, Egypt I have found the wholly fickle, inconsistent, and continually wafted about every breath of fame. The worshippers of Serapis are called Christians, and those who are devoted to the god Serapis call themselves the bishops of Christ. So this is where Walter Williams got it from. This is where SETI blindly followed it from. No real research. If they did, they'd have came up on this. See? So, second, there's more in this letter. There's more to quote. It goes on to speak on the rulers of Jewish synagogues, Samaritans, privateers of church, and Hadrian says that there are none of those who is not either an astrologer, soothsayer, or minister to obscene pleasures, though they proclaim allegiance to either Serapis or Christ. Their only real God is money. Hadrian's complaint is about a synchronistic huster environment and offers no evidence of a bona fide use of the term Christian by Serapis worshippers. Finally, there are many problems with the authenticity of the letter, and authority as liberal Walter Burrow, who would have loved to have made a hash of this letter for his case for diverse Christianity, notes that this letter is actually quoted by Flavius Vispus, a historian writing in 300 AD, which is like, who in turn said to be quoting Phlegon, a freedman of Hadrian. And what do skeptics always tell us about using sources this far away from the root? So this statement that they're going by ain't even close to the time. SubhanAllah. This is what they're pushing. And they say Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is Serapis. Now, let me ask you something. We know that the Serapis story is of a dying, resurrecting person, right? Did Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam die and resurrect? Did Isa in the Quran die and resurrect? If Isa in the Quran didn't die and resurrect and proclaim himself some type of God, then how can you say that Isa in the Quran is Serapis when saying the very word Serapis means the very concepts that the name goes by? Asar, which means to resurrect. Happy, the bull, sacrifice, and resurrects as Asar. You know that Isa alayhi salam didn't do that. So that's just a straight flat out lie. But because these guys believe, like, once again, why Christians believe, you see, they're not white Christians, but they believe just like any rumor against Islam believes, they didn't do their research on the difference. So now we're going to go to the biographers. Okay. This is the biographers of Serapis. And we're going to go to, his name is Plutarch. So anybody want this link, I give it to him. Put it like that. So we're going to go to 28 and we're going to find out why Ptolemy grabbed that statue. And so remember, Walter Williams supported and Sarasuten said he supported that the Greeks invented Serapis. Don't let them off the hook on that. My time is running low, huh? Okay. I want to shut down on them. Okay. Oh, what just happened? Okay. All right. So here we go. So Ptolemy, this is what this is what supposedly what happened when he established statue. Ptolemy Soter saw in a dream. So okay, this Greek person had a dream, the colossal statue of Pluto in Sinope. So now we know this statue is actually something to do with Pluto. So we're gonna just call that statue Pluto. That's the statue's name, Pluto. Because in Greek culture, they often connected statues with planets. So the statue's name is not Serapis. The statue's name is Pluto. Not knowing or having ever seen how it looked in his dream, the statue bade him to convey it with him all the way to speed to Alexandria. Okay, we're gonna skip some of this. So basically, he went to the island. He stole it. When he stole the idol that gave him the dream, right? when he took it to Egypt right here and exposed it to the view of Timotheus, the expositor of sacred law, and Manetho. Now Manetho is supposed to be an Egyptian priest. and their associates conjectured that it was the statue of Pluto. Based on the conjecture, the serapis and serpents with it, they convinced Ptolemy, so it wasn't even Ptolemy's idea, but they convinced Ptolemy that it was the statue of none other but the god's Serapis. Did you hear that? So they already knew that the Serapis was already there. And they just put Serapis's name on the Greek statue of Pluto. Pluto bears among the Egyptians that of Serapis. Same as Hades, the same as, and then they go on. It is not worthwhile to pay any attention to the Pharyngine writings in which it is said that Serapis was a son of Hercules and Isis was his daughter, so they're going into a whole lot of stuff. But I'm going to send you this link because I want to hurry up. I don't want my phone shutting off on me. Okay, so this is just talking about the history of Isis and how the festivals the Greeks did because of it, and they were so happy, that. So if anybody want that, I got that for you. But just to let you know, the biography tells you that Sotar Ptolemy I had a dream. He went to an area where the statue of Pluto was. He took it, he brought it to Egypt, and it was confirmed by Manetho, the Egyptian priest, a Kemetic priest, and said, yeah, this is the same. This is actually, we worship, Serapis, and, this how this looks. It has the signs of a Serapis. So I don't know what they're talking about somebody just came there and invented Serapis. All right. So let's get to, this concept. This is the Isa of the Quran. So you're not lied to no more. Anybody out there watching this. The Quran says in reference to the status of Isa, the Messiah or Masih, son of Mary, not son of God, was no more than a messenger before whom many messengers have passed away. And his mother adhered wholly to truthfulness, and they both ate food as other mortals do. See how we make our signs clear to them and see where they are turning away. Okay. So Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the Isa alayhi salam was merely a prophet. He was a messenger of Allah. Yeah, he had a couple other titles, but it goes within him being a messenger of Allah. And there is no dying. There is no being killed on the cross. And there is no resurrection. There is no being like that. Okay, so you couldn't even closely put him to a Sar Happy who is Serapis. You couldn't even closely put him into that story. And there was many different concepts in history about Yeshua. In Hebrew, Yeshua, or some people say it's Joshua, or Yahweh Shai, but in Arabic it's Isa, and in the Ge'ez language it's Esau, or not Esau, but Isa. So it's related to Semitic language of Ge'ez, not Greek like some people think. The Greeks got everything. They got some of the things from others, okay, when it comes to language. Okay, so this is letting you know that the Isa of the Quran. Hold on, let me go to this. Let me show you. We are completely against, if you talking about an Asar concept in the flesh to any of the prophets, be clear, we're against that. And they're saying, indeed, we killed Messiah Isa, son of Mary, the messenger of Allah. And they killed him not, nor did they crucify him, but it was made to appear so to them. And indeed, those who differ in it or about it are surely in doubt about it. Not for them about it of any knowledge except the following of assumption. It means that they are following nothing but conjecture and guesswork. And they did not kill him for a surety. So we don't believe in an Isa who got killed and crucified. We don't believe in an